Well, let's bring in Errol Morkoc, who is a Republican strategist and spokesman for Republicans overseas. Thank you for joining us on Newsnight. Now, as a Republican strategist, do you think Trump played his card very well at this debate? What's your assessment?
I think it was classic Trump, right? He's an asymmetrical politician from the get-go, and the way he approaches everything is a little bit more off the cuff than a lot of people would. I think he drilled down on what was important to, the undecided voters, because let's be honest, very few people haven't made up their mind yet. And the thing that people are really concerned about is the economy. They're concerned about inflation, the way that, prices for everything from energy to food to being able to take your family on a short holiday have gone through the roof. And in these situations, that's where he was able to deliver. He was able to explain, at least his history and when he was president, when we had the Trump regime in there, you had a much better economic situation for small businesses, for homeowners, credit, these kind of things. And when Kamala was asked these types of questions, she just was able to obfuscate. So after the debate, you look at some of the exit polling, this and that followed that. And you definitely saw that Trump did well. Now, did anybody really land a kill shot or win this debate? I doubt it. It wasn't really a huge tick on either side. Trump didn't do exceptionally well. Kamala Harris didn't do exceptionally well. It was probably 50-50 in the middle. And then it's going to be individual talking points that are going to matter to those undecided voters, whether it is the unfettered illegal immigration, the fact that we have people pouring into our country that we don't know where they're from, we don't know what they're doing, and we certainly are not able to sustain them in American small towns. If that's not your bag of tea, you can look at the economy. If you're more a geopolitics person, you can look at the fact that you have Democrats in charge for 12 of the last 16 years. Whenever they're in charge, you seem to have war. It is what's going on. You see in Ukraine, you see in Israel. So all in all, I think the debate for Trump went well. Didn't go phenomenal because he's not a polished kind of actor. He could have done better. He could have been a little bit more calm. Perhaps he could have been less imposing on the podium if you want to find some negatives. But for the most part, I think it went about bog standard for a debate. It was a lot better than the first one, at least.
Well, many actually believe that he walked straight into the trap set by Kamala Harris for him. And talking about not doing exceptionally well, those who've been, fact-checking on some of the claims that Donald Trump and, of course, Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris made, they say that in 33 cases, Trump either misled the public or lied or prevaricated, if you like. How is that for a presidential candidate, and how is that likely to impact on decision making at the ballot?
Well, it really depends on who your fact checkers are at this point, because you can look at certain comments. Let's take, the exciting one that was kind of fun involving the eating of pets, right? That's the one that's been headline news. That one got the good cachet. Well, fact of the matter is, over the last few days, it's come out that people have been calling it and they have been reporting that. And what's really terrible is that while people were pushing back on the fact that cats and dogs may or may not have been killed, they missed the fact that a child was killed by an illegal Haitian immigrant in that same general community. And that's what the real issue is. So the fact checkers that I've seen, for example, have put the false statements, if you want to say, at about an even amount. And I think the American people, if you're Trump leaning, if you're open to Donald Trump as a candidate, you hear how he speaks, you understand his cadence, and perhaps you don't look at it in the same way as if you're trying to get him on every single technicality. I think in this election coming up, most of the voters, again, have already decided. So Donald Trump is playing to his base, I think, because if he turns out his base, which is, effectively married people will vote for Trump. Married women go for Donald Trump over unmarried women, for example. So if he can turn out his base, he's going to win this election. And he didn't exactly play to the moderates, perhaps, as some people might have thought he would, but he certainly left the door open for them. And I think it's all in all just a good final debate. I don't think we're going to have another one. We'll see. I don't think it was a very consequential event, though, for the result of this election.
Very quickly, on the issue of whether he has any regrets about the January 6 situation, he didn't seem to say he had any kind of regrets at all. And some are saying, people have been talking about this over time, that it is a damage to democracy, the attempts on January 6. And he hasn't put any closure to that, has he?
Well, you know, the fact of the matter for our perspective is that there was no insurrection. There was a majority of people there who had good intent, were there protesting, and you had a few bad actors who went too far. And like Trump said, you know, who was actually killed that day was Ashley Babbitt, a U.S. veteran who was shot in the head. You know, there wasn't exactly this grand attack on American democracy since the Civil War, I believe, as she said. I mean, that's ridiculous. There was grandmothers and old people walking between the velvet ropes. I don't think Donald Trump is very upset that his supporters came out. I think he's upset that people took his words and castigated the intent and some bad actors created a situation, but that doesn't represent the majority of people who were there. And I think when he's elected, I'm sure, going to give a pardon to some of those January 6th protesters who've been very unfairly locked up for many years now.
We'll have to leave it there. Errol Morkoc, thank you very much for joining us. Spokesman, Republicans Overseas. Thank you for joining us on News Now.